For pretty much the entire day Wednesday, President Trump came across as if he were a Democratic president more than a Republican one. It started around lunchtime. Republican and Democratic leaders in Congress were fighting over the best way to handle a bunch of deadlines. They went to the White House, they pleaded their case. Republicans wanted to extend, especially the debt ceiling, way off until after the November elections. Democrats came up with an idea to extend it just until December so that Congress would have to revisit all of this again. President Trump sided with Democrats. This is a really remarkable moment for Republican leaders on Capitol Hill and their relationship with President Trump. Hours earlier, none other than House Speaker Paul Ryan had said on cameras that he thinks it's, quote, a despicable idea.
I think that's a ridiculous idea. I hope that they don't mean that.
But right there in front of their faces, President Trump decided with Democrats. Right after that, President Trump went to North Dakota, where a Democratic senator is up for re-election in 2018. She's pretty vulnerable because President Trump won the state by more than 30 points last November. What did he do? He brought Senator Heidi Heitkamp up on stage, shook her hand, and called her a good woman while the cameras were rolling.
Good woman, and I think we'll have your support. I hope we'll have your support.
And then on Thursday, the Washington Post reported that Trump and congressional Democratic leaders have struck yet another deal, this one a really big one. They've agreed to work together to try to permanently remove the requirement that Congress raise the debt ceiling whenever the Treasury Department runs out of money. Republican leaders were flat out confounded about the president that they thought was on their side and seemed to be firmly siding with Democrats on some pretty major issues. It's not just Republican leaders who feel betrayed. Conservatives, a very powerful, very vocal faction in Congress, especially feel frustrated. Here's a guy that they thought would stand up to the Republican Washington establishment and side with them on being fiscally and socially conservative. But he totally sold them out. He's siding with Democrats. And now the net result of that is that in December, these conservatives could face a vote not to cut spending, which is their ultimate goal, but to raise spending. They're in a really tough situation, and it's their president that set them up for this.